If you want to calculate the derivative of a fraction, you have to use the quotient rule. Using the quotient rule is actually really easy. Let me show you. On your screen you can see the definition of the quotient rule. It looks difficult, but that's not the case. It basically says that the derivative of a fraction is the derivative of the numerator multiplied by the denominator minus the numerator multiplied by the derivative of the denominator, which is then divided by the denominator squared. Let's make this clear using some examples. On your screen you can see the function y equals 2x plus 4 divided by 4x squared. The numerator, so f of x, is then 2x plus 4. Using basic derivatives, we find that the derivative of f of x is 2. The denominator g of x is 4x squared. Using basic derivatives, we find that the derivative of g of x is 8x. We can now fill in the formula of the quotient rule. This gives us 2 multiplied by 4x squared minus 2x plus 4 multiplied by 8x, which is then divided by 4x squared squared. This is the final answer. Your professor is likely to ask you to simplify this further. We are not going to do that in this video, as it is not the purpose of this video, but feel free to simplify at home. Let's now make it a little bit more difficult. On your screen you can see the function y equals x squared divided by the square root of 4x. The numerator, so f of x, is then x squared. Using basic derivatives, we find that the derivative of f of x is 2x. The denominator g of x is the square root of 4x. Using basic derivatives, we find that the derivative of g of x is 2x raised to the power minus 0.5. We can now fill in the formula of the quotient rule. This gives us 2x multiplied by the square root of 4x minus x squared multiplied by 2x raised to the power minus 0.5, which is then divided by the square root of 4x squared. This is the final answer. We have one more example to go. On your screen you can see the function y equals 15x raised to the power 5 divided by e raised to the power 5x. The numerator, so f of x, is then 15x raised to the power 5. Using basic derivatives, we find that the derivative of f of x is 75x raised to the power 4. The denominator, g of x, is e raised to the power 5x. Using the rules for derivatives we saw in my video on the derivative of a natural exponential function, we find that the derivative of g of x is 5e raised to the power 5x. We can now fill in the formula of the quotient rule. This gives us 75x raised to the power 4 multiplied by e raised to the power 5x minus 15x raised to the power 5 multiplied by 5e raised to the power 5x, which is then divided by e raised to the power 5x squared. This is the final answer. That brings us to the end of the video. If you learned something today, please help me out by liking and subscribing. It means a lot to me. If you want to help me out even more, check the link in the description. Wanting to learn more about derivatives? Check out the video on your screen now.